Every honeybee feels a jealousy when they see you out with me. I don't blame them, goodness knows. You're my honeysuckle rose when you're passing by. Flowers droop and sigh, and I know the reason why. You're much sweeter, goodness knows. And you're my honeysuckle rose. I don't buy sugar. You just have to touch those strings, 'cause you're my sugar. Woo! Cameron, when you make it swing. When I'm taking
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that jazz saved my life. And every contemporary player who lives in Montana that I talk to has told me the same thing. The quality of information, intellect, history, information about social injustice, racism, all of that information came to young white people in Montana through jazz. And that is not to say that there weren't any people of color in Montana or that there aren't now, but in my generation, this is where that information came from. And Jack is a friend of mine. So many players were touched by jazz through the airwaves. It's hard to describe. When I was growing up, there were less than 1 million people in the whole of Montana. Montana is a huge state, and it has its own history of racism. And people take in this information and use it creatively. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine who lives in Browning on the Blackfeet Nation, and we had a conversation about her cousin who I met many years ago, who was an avid jazz fan. Her brother did some arranging for Jimmy Rolls in LA, and she was Blackfeet. She came, sought us out. We played together, we worked together. There's a ton of these stories that are tentacles to intelligence and the stories of people who were so I'm sorry, this is emotional for me because
understandable.
There's just so much that we would not have if it hadn't been for this music and for these brilliant people who reached out to us through recordings that someone would slip in your door if you were a kid, or over Les Bowen coming from Salt Lake City late at night. I'm really dating myself, but what the hell, you know? And so yes, it lives here, and I, you know, Jack Walrath is one of them. Jim Rotundi is another. We've had people from all over the world come to Montana, and then we followed them out back into the larger world and learned. And then we came back to Montana because this is the fire. We had to tend the fire here. And I am grateful for all of you, because every bit of work that gets done on the national level that grows this art form, that sustains this art form, is vital to us. I live in one of the reddest states in the country, and there's so much need for this heart and soul here. So I have not been very active. I'm just a musician. I call myself, I'm a perennial pop-up producer, because nothing gets sustained here. But, you know, I'll go on as long as I possibly can. We're going to do the Montana Artists Refuge again, because we had some really brilliant people from New York that came here and played all over the state. We had a lot of fun, and that's what we base everything we do on, fun and this brilliant music that we're all exploring together. So I appreciate the being called a hero. I'm not a jazz hero. I'm a trombone player.
When I'm taking sips from your tasty lips and the honey fairly drips, your confection, goodness knows. Why are you smiling? Are you happy? Why? Because you're playing jazz. Ain't nothing like it. Keep it alive, folks.